afternoon to everyone who is joining this session this afternoon. First, I want to say good afternoon to our audience. I want to thank you for taking the time to join this conversation. I believe it's going to be an exciting conversation. I have a panel here of three speakers who I will be introducing in short order. But I really look forward to having a conversation with these people. And of course, in the end, I look forward to having a conversation with the audience as well. These are not sessions where we talk at people. These are sessions where we want to engage with people. I only have three speakers here, and they represent certain thoughts, but there are people out there who represent other thoughts as well. And so it is very important for us to hear your own thoughts. I want to start by thanking our friends at Africa Travel Week and World Travel Market Africa for providing this platform during Africa Travel Week for us to have this conversation. This conversation, by the way, is part of what they call Travel Forward. So that already gives you an indication of what we're going to focus on. We're going to focus on the future of travel and tourism and hospitality, and what will shape travel, tourism, and hospitality as we all have come to know it. So I'm excited about that. Africa Travel Week and World Travel Market Africa and our organization, CZA Tourism SME Network, have been fantastic partners since 2017, actually, when CZA was established. And we've done a number of these sessions, particularly at the height of COVID-19 in 2020. And it's been a fantastic time that we've had together. So I want to say thank you to them. So you don't see African Travel Week and World Travel Market, but they are somewhere in the background. So we all need to be behaving ourselves. But thank you so much to them. And to the people in front of me, who I'm going to ask to introduce themselves to make sure that we do a good job at that. I want to say thanks to you folks for giving up your time and joining us in this conversation. I will introduce the topic that we're going to be talking about or focusing on shortly. But let me just ask you very briefly to say who you are, your position, and which organization you come from, and please, if you mention what part of the world you're coming from. So today, accordingly, our topic is technology, the next tourism competitiveness edge. So two things: technology, we believe, will give players in our industry the competitive edge going forward. So this is what we're going to explore. Now, I want to start off by saying, just to set the scene, to say that we all know that historically technology has played an important role in the travel and tourism ecosystem. So this is not a new phenomenon that we're talking about. It's been an integral part of the travel and tourism ecosystem, and in fact across the value chain as well. But we also know that with the advent of COVID-19, the role of technology is going to accelerate in our industry. In fact, just going back, rewinding a little bit, going back to the point I made earlier, I read a study some time ago by the OECD, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And that study says that one of the mega trends driving travel and tourism to 2030, I think, it was a study done in 2018, so it's not a new thing, is going to be technology. And they go into a whole massive development, a discussion about technology and its role in driving tourism up to 2030, and of course beyond. So historically, technology has played an important role. But with COVID-19, I think what has happened is the acceleration has really communicated to even those who perhaps may not have taken the role of technology so seriously, that unless they do so now, chances are they will be marginalized. And we from the SME side are quite keen to make sure that, SMEs are not marginalized, and therefore we're quite keen to make sure that we embrace technology. I've made a broad statement about technology, but maybe I'm the only one who really believes that this is true. I'd just like to hear from each of our panelists here, this broad statement about technology, specifically starting on the historical role of technology in our industry. From where you sit, how have you seen technology historically drive competitiveness specifically in travel and tourism? I want to ask two questions. The first question is, what would you believe, or what do you believe are going to be the main drivers of competitiveness in our field going forward? What is going to separate one destination from another? Or phrasing it differently, what is going to make destinations competitive? And within that, what is the role of technology in enabling that future competitiveness? So what are the competitiveness drivers for destinations, for players, not just destination, players across the ecosystem and the value chain? You can pick any, and how will technology enable that? Ben, do you want to go first?
That's a huge question, Septi.
Yeah.
I think when you're looking on a macro level, each destination really has to understand what it has to offer and what is its unique points, and who is the target audience that it wants to reach, and how it can stand out and position itself. And that is a whole combination of factors, and really the destination management of a destination is the whole ecosystem of all of the different players, of the different. So it's really whether each destination has got that ability to project itself in terms of what its essence is, and can project that vision to its customer base and to its target audience. Then I think the competitive edge is how you reach that target audience, and technology plays a massive role in that. And right now, what we're seeing is, governments have put restrictions on travel since last year, which has thrown the whole industry into disarray. It's meant that customers are going to be more concerned about actually parting with their cash. So therefore, what can we do to help reassure customers that they can book and that they will be able to travel, and that things will be okay? And I suppose that's really one of the big challenges that we all face. There's a pent-up demand for travel. Certainly, I think people who've experienced lockdown, there are two different categories. For those people where financially they've hit a really, really tough situation and are going to have much less disposable income. At the same time, with all the government support in many different countries and in different industries, there are those people who've been able to save money because they've been stuck at home and they haven't had their day-to-day expenses. So for that portion of the community, there's a pent-up demand for travel. So the question is, how can you reach those people, and how can you reach them in the most cost-effective way? That's really the thing. One area where Koala plays a part, and this is where we really were trying to innovate and think of, because we bring three things together. We bring tech, we bring insurance, and we bring travel knowledge all together. It's about saying, what can we do to help restore customers' confidence to be able to book travel again? And that's why we came up with an innovative product called Koala Flex, which basically we work with travel partners and airlines and travel players around the world, where we say, we can partner with them and then allow their customer to book and have the flexibility to cancel And what we're doing is we're providing that service to say that we're giving the customer it's to change their willingness to travel. It's to change their desire to travel. So they can book now, and who knows what the world is going to look like in 3 months' time? Who knows what the world's going to look like for the summer holidays or for the winter holidays? We don't know. And what the travel industry has seen as a whole is that dramatic reduction in time between booking and travel has reduced significantly. And we've decided to say, what can we do to increase that and to give customers that confidence? And through the use of our technology and so on, is we've been able to put a product together that says, book now. And as a customer, you've got that ability to change your mind before you travel, and you'll get a refund. And that is something that what one aspect is to say, how can we deal with customers' hesitation to part with their cash right now? Because what the industry needs is cash in the system again, because the industry is bleeding dry, and we need that cash to come back into the system. So that's one example that I would say.
Yeah, thanks, Ben. Look, we will obviously, get into more detail in terms of how you guys are enabling, this travel forward vision. And then we can pick up some more on what you said. But one thing that has come out very strongly for me in what you were saying is this thing of building confidence as one of the key drivers in terms of future travel, confidence and market confidence, so that people can feel that, it's okay, they can travel again. And so Anna, maybe...
Sorry, and that goes with the health side and with the vaccination program and with people's biosecurity and so on. So and other people can talk about that, but that's another factor on people's confidence is how safe will they feel in that destination.
Yes, thanks, Anna. Feel free to pick up on anything that Ben has said, or introduce a new point. Over to you now.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, I'm on the same line with Ben. I believe that destination, in order to be competitive now when it will be reopening of the borders and we'll start to travel again, it will be huge competition. And also, from other hand, we can't rely anymore on the historical data. The tourism is changing. The needs of the travelers are also changed. So the destination will need to know who are the travelers, what are their specific needs, what they're looking for, and what are the main strengths and weaknesses of the destination in front of the competitors. And to offer maximum personalized offers. And I'm talking about everything. One of them, what mentioned Ben, is the flexibility in cancellation, or to be protected if will be any cancellation or any new restriction in the future, so we can plan our trip. And we also, from our side, from data analysis, we see the same. We see that the booking window is going to be all the time shorter. People is last moment reservation is increasing all the time. People afraid to make reservation or to plan their trip for long term. And also another trend that we see is also domestic market. The domestic tourism is increased hugely compared to other years. So if we want to open the doors and to have more confidence, to give more confidence to our travels, to go not travel only in the domestic market, in their national territory, but also to travel to go to other countries. I think we need to know very well the market, the needs of the customers, and to offer personalized and very flexible offers. I mean flexible offers in terms of cancellation or changing. Yeah. I would say we will need to centric more to customer technology, customer-centered technology, and not supplier-centered technology as it used to be before crisis.
Okay. Now that's an interesting point you're bringing up, and I'd like to pick up on that customer-centric technology. And before I transition to you, Pavlina, I was just remembering from what Ben and Anna were sharing. I was actually planning to travel to one of the provinces in my country, and there's a couple of smaller airlines that go there. And I was just searching, if I make this booking now and I don't travel, will I be able to get my money back? And I spent so much time on this particular airline's website trying to find an answer to that one question. And when I did not find it, I just decided, cancel. I'm not going to make this booking unless I know right up front. If I make this booking and anything happens, you know, we're on level 1 now. Suppose suddenly we go back to level 2 or level 3 of the lockdown, then I can't travel anymore. Is it going to be a mission for me to deal with these people to try and sort out this thing? And so because the answer was not readily there in front of me, I just decided, okay, I'm not going to make this booking. So that confidence, not only in terms of the safety of the destination, but also in terms of dealing with other suppliers along the value chain, is very important. I think both of you have made that point. Pavlina, you have the last one on this before we move on.
So, well, because I'm not really educated in the destination marketing and destination in general, I still thought about when you asked the question, I wrote down 3 key points, three key words, which is personalization, speeding up the processes, and security. So about the security, I believe that Ben and you, Septi, you mentioned quite a lot about it. And this is the problem of the destination in general. About the personalization, that would be so much about the guest-centric experiences, guest-centric data, guest-centric care. So this is all about when you automate something, you have more time to do the real personalized care. And this is, I believe, this is the future of hospitality. But I also believe that we've also mentioned that a little bit later, once we're going to talk about the guest-centric systems. I might stop by at the spinning up the processes, because no one actually mentioned this one in cooperation with destinations. So what I would see like a main point for the technology and destinations would be speeding up the process of entering the destinations, which means not just the visa, not just the way how you get to the airport and the processes in the airports, but in general, simpling the entrance without any problems of payments and how to pay it, where to pay it, will they let me in, will they not let me in. So this is in general something then you can manage it by technology before actually going to the destination, not being scared that you will not be allowed into the country, which actually happened to me 3 months ago when I wanted to go to Egypt, but my passport was not the one that they wanted to accept. So I found it out at the airport, so they didn't let me in, and my airport ticket just, I couldn't cancel anymore. So that was actually something that never happened to me. And no, I'm not blaming anyone. It was my mistake that I should search for more information before booking the stay. But the point is that, yeah, simpling the entrances, I really believe that every single country can do that and every single destination can do that. And also from the state perspective, there are so many regulations on the side that the hotel has to do, and in general, hotel or the travel accommodation is the place where the destination gets its value, because you sleep there, you get that part of the destination. So when the process of getting into the hotel and staying within the hotel is complicated because the state regulations does that, well, that is complication. So I believe that the simplicity of entrance into the destination and simplicity of the hotel processes led by the state, that makes the destination and the technology the future of the being, and the security and the personalization, of course.
Well, you see, now I like to ask these big questions, because they open up discussions. I mean, it's amazing what you've actually, and I'm sure I haven't even captured everything that you said, but just some of the things that you mentioned about the future of travel. Remember, we're talking travel forward, but clearly confidence, in all its dimensions. You've mentioned as very important. Flexibility, and I think some of them are elements of the other. Flexibility is an element of confidence. or standalone, but customer-centric technology or guest-centric personalization, to use your word there, Pavlin. These are things that are coming on the horizon as we look at travel going forward. Security is another one that you mentioned, and this one was quite interesting for me. This speeding destination entry, or simply simplifying destination entry. And I think there's a dimension to that as well, that we really need the simplicity of those processes, also just in terms of traffic flow in points of congestion, because you don't want a lot like airports, hubs like those. You don't want processes that are going to slow down things and people end up being congested in one place. I think people are going to be very uncomfortable about those kinds of settings. So yeah, no, I think a lot of points that have been made here, very fascinating. And I now want us to transition, because I'm checking the time as well. So I'm trying to multitask this side. I want to transition to talking about your offering specifically. And I know you, Ben, started talking about it, but I'm sure there's a lot more to say. So we'll give you an opportunity to say that. Just talking about, if you're saying to us that these factors that you've shared, and I've touched on some of them, not all of them, I'm sure. If these are going to be key to the future of travel, how are your technologies? How are the things that your different companies are doing, enabling the future of travel? In fact, because I'm going to start with you, Anna, in response to this one, I remember you said something that actually caught my attention, that destinations can't rely on historical data anymore. Sorry, I didn't, pick that up in my summary, but I've made it, I've written it down. So if you see reliance on historical data as a thing not of the future, what is Mabrian specifically doing to enable the future through data?
Actually, as I said before, in Mabrian, what we are doing, we provide travel intelligence. And also before, we provide travel intelligence based on real-time data, also before pandemic. And we're saying that real-time data is very important, that destination can't only rely on the historical data. They need to analyze also real-time data in order to be to make better decisions, to understand what's going on, to anticipate new trends, to identify demand, and many other questions that can be answered by analysis of the data. But now, with the crisis, of course, COVID-19 accelerates this need, because everything has changed. We don't know what will be in the future. Destinations don't know from where the demand is come from, what people are looking for. They don't know what is their air connectivity. They don't know what's going on in their main competitors. So here comes Mabrian. What we are doing to analyze many different data sources in order to understand the situation of the destination and to analyze a full travel cycle of the visitors, from the inspirational moment when they just start to look for the flight tickets. We analyze booking, air connectivity. By air connectivity, we understand the air capacity. We know the prices of accommodation and prices to come to the destination, flight prices. We analyze the profile of the visitors, so we know what their main interest or preference in the destinations, what the venues or attractions they are interested to visit. We analyze data of spend, so we know their spend patterns in the destination, so to complete this profile. Also mobility, so we know how do they move in some specific area of the destination. All these complete pictures, all these different data sources help us to understand the full travel cycle of the visitor and to make better decisions, based on this. So we know from this data we can detect the demand, from where they come from, what our visitors are looking for. Now it's interesting information for the future. Already now we can understand who is looking for the flight tickets to come to London, for example, from where they come from, how long do they want to stay in London, and in which days do they prefer to come to London. So this is important information in order to make strategical operational decision for the destination, and to make better marketing plan, or to make, for example, benchmarking analysis with key competitors and identify their main strengths and weakness. So we know what our sales proposition and in front of competitors, what our main things. So all this data helps to the destination, not only destination, but also travel companies, but mainly to the destination to be more competitive, and also to manage the destination in more sustainable way, as well as offer more personalized offers to the visitors in order to improve their experience. So what we talked before, that is very important point right now, that we are moving from the supplier-centric technology or strategies to consumer-centric strategies. And this data can help the destination do it.
And of course, there is just an ongoing explosion of all sorts of data, as you said, behavioral data, transactional data, and without even being a specialist in your field, just listening to you, something says in my mind that it is really those destinations that embrace and harness the power of all this data that is all over the place, and harness it in terms of sharpening and presenting their offering to the market, that are really going to be competitive and ahead of the rest. I mean, I just see from my own searches, you search for one thing and the next thing, every time you open your mobile, this history of searching, keeps coming. And I always marvel and I say, just the power of big data and the capability to be able to take all of that together and make some intelligent destination decisions seems to me to be going to be one of the key competitiveness factors going forward. Okay, well, thanks for that, Anna. Pavlina, what's your take?
Well, I might start.
Nice day. Yeah.
Nice day. Yeah, I would probably start with the story for you guys to understand better how the things are now. So in general, we are that guest-centric system that takes care about the guest in the hotel. So I might say that in the very beginning, I will be very honest. But in general, and nowadays, what is happening? So when someone book a stay in some specific hotel, it's very often unknown person with unknown needs. It's just the name. It's just the reservation. It's just the date and book slot from when till when and with how many people. That's it. Unknown person, unknown needs. When the guest comes to the reception, there is plenty of paperwork waiting for that personnel. So doing signatures, payments, getting the card. And there is no time to ask by the receptionist, who are you, how do you do, and so on. So this is still unknown person with unknown needs. In general, hotel receptionist has a must to offer some services. So it's like shooting the snowballs on the wall. You just don't know what to offer to that unknown person with that unknown need. So they're just trying. And it's annoying for both sides. For a receptionist, because that's just a machine that is just telling you, please sign here, please pay here, and please, this is your card. That's it. And it's annoying for the guest because it's like, hey, I'm a personnel. I just don't need this because do I look like I need that? So that's the thing of nowadays. I know that a lot of hotels really try their best. They're trying to do the thing, but the point is that the receptionists have no time. Why? Because they haven't speeded up the processes on the side of those, let's say, check-ins, check-outs. So what we do with MyStay, back to MyStay, is the system that is actually trying to engage the guest right after the reservation. And we're trying to connect hotels and their guests right after that reservation and make some processes contactless. Why? Because I believe that in less than 5 years, there will be completely different type of receptions. And to do that, hotels need to do in general 3 steps. first, they need to automate processes at the reception. So just remove them from personal contact, check-in, check-out, payment, and issuing the card. Excuse me, but receptionists are not the machines. They are human beings with a big potential of being great salespeople. So why you're letting them be machines? Step number one, automate it. Buy a kiosk, buy the e-keys, buy the e-boxes. There are so many options. You can do that with MyStay, by the way, but that's just the side effect, okay? When this is done, when you have automated at least some processes, when the guests do the check-in card online, they sign it, they do it for the whole reservation. It's 5 minutes saved per check-in. 5. It's 5. It's long 5 minutes per one person. So 5 minutes, here we go. Check out, 4 minutes. So you can pay over your phone. You're used to. You can put the credentials of your company over the phone. So that's the point. Step number 2, let's start to collect data, guys. Oh my God, they are there. They are in the phone of the guests. They are guests that want to share their preferences. So that's the point.
Anna is very happy with you.
Then we personalize the whole content that we're giving to the guest by the system, because our part is not only about, let's say, automating the processes, but also making the revenue for hotels by selling their services. So once we collect the data, once we know the preferences of the guest for that stay, romantic or wellness or couple or business, it's important. Then the hotel can sell, but they can also use the free time of the receptionist, which could be 40 minutes approximately saved time per receptionist if they do the automation. And then this time can be saved for hospitality, which is something that is missing in these days. Yeah. And that's the point. I'm not saying remove receptionists. I'm saying remove the processes and let unlock the receptionist in your receptionist. Oh my God. The importance of this is just let the person get out of the front desk and maybe guide you to the room. During the time, they already know the data. They already know what are your preferences, so they can shoot the right offer to you. Hey, we have a free spot at 5 o'clock, which is in 2 hours for the massage. I see you have a massage in here. Would you like to get? So that's really about remove some part, let go. I know it's hard, guys. Let go. It just doesn't have to be there, and let your receptionist make money for you and let your guest feel like home. So that's my part. That's what we do with MyStay. And save the 40 minutes of the time of the receptionist. You will really find out the results. So with those free 40 minutes per your receptionist, because they are great sales guys.
Well, I mean, that is fantastic. And I just love that because, one of the things that I dread at the end of a long trip is going and standing in a queue at reception and trying to check in. It just drives me absolutely bananas. Yeah. When I'm tired, I've arrived at the hotel, I've arrived at my destination in my hotel. All I want is to be able to just, whiz through and go to my room, relax, and sometimes you come to these reception areas, it just strikes God's fear into my heart, just looking at the length of that queue and knowing that I'm going to stand right behind it, and I don't know how long that process is going to take me. So it's a nuisance for me as a guest. It's, inefficiency on the part of the establishment. So we're talking about enhancing productivity and efficiency. Yeah, I really quite like what I hear. So Ben, over to you. Please, I know you did, start on this, but I'm sure there are other things you would like to share with us and our audience. Please go ahead.
Well, basically, it's based on data, isn't it? It's being able to use data, and how can you use data to enhance the customer's experience? And I think that Anna and Pavlina have given examples, and I can give an example of how we do it here at Koala with our insurance product. So one of the frustrating elements in people's journey when they go to their destination is if there's a flight delay or if they miss their connection, right? And that's a frustrating thing, not just on the moment itself, but it's also a frustration when, depending on which airline, et cetera, but the customer's claiming compensation. And I don't know if you've ever had to claim compensation, and I've been on both sides of the table, claiming as a customer and then also being responsible for customer relations. But the process is not necessarily that simple. And certainly within a regulatory environment, like in Europe, for example, there's a consumer protection, which is EC Regulation 261, which basically means that if any airline is 3 hours delayed or cancels their flight within 14 days of departure, then the customer has the right to compensation. But the reason why there's friction in this whole process is because it's only if it's the airline's fault that there's a delay. And we know from studies and from the data that actually, when you look at all delays, actually the airline's responsibility is only in 1/3 of the cases. So for the customer, it ends up being a very frustrating situation, because really the customer doesn't mind what the cause of delay is. They have experienced a delay and they're unhappy, and they want to get their compensation, and that causes friction with the airlines or with other transport providers. So what we did is we came up with an insurance product where we offer to the airlines, we offer to travel agents, and we offer to travel players the opportunity to sell a flight delay compensation. And instead of it being what is the cause of delay, was it the airline's fault or was it someone else's fault? We don't care. We're saying that the trigger for the delay is the actual delay itself. And through technology, we're tracking everything. So we plug into the data sources of tracking flights globally. And whenever anybody starts their journey to their destination, we can see in real time live when flights are delayed, or if they've been diverted, or if they've been cancelled. So anybody who's got a koala insurance through their airline or through their travel partner, we're tracking them. And as soon as the agreed trigger of delay is, because we can customize it to whatever the partner wants, we can make it 1 hour delay, we can make it 2 hour delay, we can make it 3 hour delay. An email and a text message will go to the customer saying, very sorry that you've experienced this delay. You're now eligible for compensation. And all they have to do is enter their details on their phone, on our landing page. We verify who they are. We verify that the flight was indeed cancelled or delayed, and that all happens automatically. And then within 24 hours, they get their compensation. And that can be done white labeled or co-branded. It can be done for whichever B2B partner that we work with. But that enhances the customer's experience that there's been a problem and we can solve it. And the bit that's even more interesting is that through our partner, we work with a dynamic pricing model where we're actually tracking all the on-time performance of all airlines every day. And we're also tracking weather conditions at airports, and we're tracking all other factors. That means that we're looking at the risk of delay, and when at the time of booking, the customer is making their choice about taking out a flight delay insurance. From an insurance perspective, we've taken into account 5 years history of on-time performance, plus it's updated every 24 hours, plus 10 years of weather conditions, etc., knowing time of day, day of travel, etc. And we can compute what the risk is at that point, and therefore the price that the customer should pay. And we've been able to evolve that product to a misconnection compensation with a lot of the dramatic cut in capacity that we've seen in 2020 and that we continue to see in 2021. Airlines and destinations are going to have to look at different types of connections, and more people are putting their own self-connect product together where they're buying 2 different tickets from 2 different airlines. And if that's the case, then you're not protected by a normal interline relationship. If your first flight is delayed, you're going to end up missing your second flight and no one's there to help you out. So we've brought in a misconnection compensation, which again, like I said, it's tracking the on-time performance, it's tracking each airport's minimum connect time, it's tracking 24/7, it's updated, and we can work with partners, travel agents, OTAs, tour operators, any travel player that can say, we will manage that risk. We know how to price it through our reinsurance partners, and display that automatically to the customer. So then again, they can get immediate compensation. And then what does the technology do? We're working with other partners that say either you can choose cash or you can choose a rebooking. And on top of that, we can give you a code to get it use the airport lounge whilst you're in this situation. So we're able, through technology, to smooth out those friction points in customers' journeys. I know it's not from a destination's point of view, it's not their responsibility, but when they're being packaged together with flight and ground product, then we can make sure that that whole journey is smooth. And we're also working with other partners who are multimodal. So it's not just your flight, but it's your flight, and then when you arrive at your destination, maybe you're transferring to a train or a chauffeur drive car or a bus. And we can also work on that whole journey. So really, from Koala's perspective, we're looking at the whole journey from the moment you leave your home until the moment you return. Where are the friction points that we can help provide an innovative product that when things go wrong, the customer actually gets a positive experience? And that's really the essence of what we're doing at Koala.
Yeah, well, to perhaps use a cliche, it's a brave new world. You know, I'm just sitting here and I'm saying, I'm talking to just 3 persons representing just 3 innovations and technologies in our space, that as I listen to you, I say, oh my God, this is a revolution taking place right here. Now, multiply that by all the technologies that, you know, are being birthed or being reshaped going forward. I mean, I think that travel is going to be a brave new world, understandably within the context of COVID-19. Okay, so we're going to be wrapping up very, very shortly. And I would be failing if I finish this conversation without talking about SMEs. So this is where I'm going to land this conversation. So I'm warning you, I'm preparing you, because in all of this, I mean, a guy like me, you know, who talks about a quest for tourism, SME growth, I have to ask what your technologies can do to position SMEs for competitiveness as well. So I'm going to land it there. But quite clearly, you know, again, travel forward. The world is changing. Technology is part of it. I think one thing for me, if I take all these things that you've said, if there's one word which would sum it up for me in terms of even your offerings, is this customer centricity. You know, and even, you know, from Anna's point, where it's mainly about destinations, but it's again, you know, understanding your customer, understanding the needs of the customer, understanding, you know, what the interests they have in terms of coming to your destination, and certainly you, Ben, and Pavlina, you know, really focusing on the customer, you know, so that customer centricity seems to me to be really, if I were to pick up one word, whether it's relating to securities, relating, you know, speed or simplicity of entries, relating to confidence, flexibility, it seems to me that, you know, the one word is that customer centricity. And quite frankly, as a traveler myself, I like what I'm hearing. You know, I like to hear that all these technologies are being built around giving me a better experience as a traveler, a frictionless experience when I travel and all these things. So fantastic. I mean, I really have liked that. And I mean, we could explore a whole lot more on this topic because it's a big topic. But let me come back to my home, that's SMEs. You know, in as much as I like what I hear, always when I have these conversations, I have this thing at the back of my mind. Will all of this result in SMEs being left behind? Will all of this result in SMEs, small players who are so critical in our ecosystem, in our value chain? From what I read, the majority of operators in this industry are SMEs. And so I have to ask this question. You know, I'm excited about technology. I'm excited about what it can do. But at the same time, I'm nervous. You know, there's a sense in me which says, will SMEs benefit from all of this? If it's about, especially we're talking about building future competitiveness here, all the things that you've spoken about, both your offerings and broader than your offerings, how do they, in a broader scheme of things, even if not directly, even if it's indirect, but how do they benefit SMEs from the point of view of making SMEs more competitive? Who's the brave one who wants to go first? Put up your hand and go for it.
I can go for it if
Yeah, go for
anyone
it,
wants.
Pavlina, yeah. That's right, yeah.
Well, to be honest, we mainly work with SMEs, so I would just have a super simple answer. Well, just do what the already thousands did before you. I've mentioned all the benefits. It doesn't matter if it's one room apartment, or if it's like 1,000 rooms, huge hotel in Dubai, whatever. It's the same approach for the guest, talking about the accommodation and taking care of the guest, so automation and personalization. Me personally, I have a partner which I'm renting on Airbnb, and guess what I'm using? Well, I'm using my stay, of course, and it works well. And that's like the first S of your SMEs, right? And the smallest one, and is just all for. Even the smallest one, it saves your time. And in our lives, what we have that we cannot buy is the time. And why to spend it with waiting for a guest, for example, 3-4 hours, when you just can give a keys and, I don't know, leave a little candy on the couch and meet them in another day. So that's all about the SMEs. And there are thousands that already started to and did so. It's not just about Hilton's, Marriott's. It's all about the little boutique and amazing hotels, which they can even give bigger personalization and bigger personalized experience, which is all about. So that's my point. So you guys go for it. Come on.
Fantastic. Well, we shall take you up on it. Thanks, Pavlina. Who's next?
I'm happy to go
Okay.
next.
Ben, please go for it. Yeah.
No,
go for it.
go.
Go for it.
I mean, I would say the same thing as Pavlina, really. You know, we're an SME ourselves, right? So we're always happy to work with other SMEs. I mean, obviously, we have our large corporate customers that we work with in terms of our partners, but we are totally open to working with SMEs. In fact, our whole philosophy is win-win-win. And it's like, what's the win for the customer? What's the win for the B partner? And obviously, what's the win for us? And you know, that's our philosophy. And we engage with anybody who wants to engage, and we're totally open and flexible to adapt. So, you know, we were dealing with last night, 2 days ago, I was dealing with an SME in South America. This morning, we're dealing with a large organization in Eastern Europe. And yesterday, it was in United States. So, you know, we're dealing with customers and business partners who are all over the world. But really, for us, it doesn't matter what size they are. It's about their customer-centric approach. And we're always happy to hear about what are the friction points that they're experiencing, because each business partner has got a slightly different need. They've got a slightly different market. They've got a slightly different set of customer demands. And we always adapt our product, and we're very much a la carte. So we don't restrict who we work with. We don't restrict. You know, you don't have to be the biggest corporate to work with Koala. We're happy to work with startups, and we're happy to work with the biggest. So just reach out to us, and we're happy to work with you. That's all I would say.
Fabulous, fabulous. Well, both of you will get invited again, you know, to our next conversation. Anna.
Our solution is scalable, so we're also working with different size of the organization, so we can adapt the solution to the their specific needs. So maybe the smaller and maybe medium organization will won't need all the data. They will need just part of the data. So it can be, we can adapt the solution to the need of the customer of the organization. And another point that we didn't talk about it, of course, the technology is one of the key of recovering from this crisis, but also another very important point that is talked lately in different channels is the cooperation between public organization and private sector. And our solution can be key for this, because the information about the destination, about the demand, and about the competitors, all this data is very important to any organization of any size. So by working with the public sector, the private sector also can have the benefits with our platform. So it can be collaboration mode, to work public and the private sector can use our platform together, in order to make better decision and to promote their own business.
Well, fantastic. Yeah, now, I'm glad you introduced that, Anna. So from this conversation, I've come up with 3 C's, and I'm going to give them back to you. One is, well, the central one is customer-centric, right? I mean, this is a key one. And I think that, and I agree with you, regardless of the size of the player, going forward, and this is our own message to SMEs, folks, it's about being customer-centric. You've got to put the customer at the center of what you do, enhance the customer experience, and these technologies will help you do that. And that is why, we're not, and I think it was you who said it, Ben, earlier, it's not just so much about the technology, but it's about how you use the technology and what you use it for. And that really is the main thing. Technology is not an end in itself, is an enabler to this customer centricity that we were really talking about to SMEs. And of course, we spoke about confidence earlier. That's being my second C. It's really about, again, related to customer centricity. It's about building the confidence of the traveler in the future of travel. As we all agree, it's going to look slightly different. And then, of course, Anna has added the third one, cooperation. Now, I love that because as an SME network, we're about collaboration. And this is what we preach to SMEs all the time. In as much as I was saying to you, we fear that SMEs might be left behind. Yeah, but if they operate individually, maybe they'll be left behind. But if they cooperate and collaborate, with other players in the value chain and the ecosystem, that's where the strength, SMEs can actually punch above their weight through cooperation. So I like the 3 C's that you've given us: customer centricity, confidence, and cooperation. So friends, this has been absolutely fantastic. I'm afraid we've come to the end of our time together, but I've really, as in all these conversations, I always leave feeling so empowered, feeling so learned, and really I appreciate having moments to converse with people like yourself.